So for my number two is the Avengers. I thought, we had all been anticipating that this would be a year when all these elements that Marvel had been plotting and putting together would come together in one big film. So they finally came together in the Avengers, and it delivered. It delivered big time. I mean, we watched it in Eastwood on opening day around 3 in the afternoon. I was in my Iron Man shirt. We watched it with Maywan, and Maywan was very happy to watch it with two geeks who were really into it. And I gotta give props to Joss Whedon because I'm not a Buffy fan, I'm not a Firefly fan, but he brought the wit, he brought the fast pacing to this film. It could have easily degenerated into some overblown, over-budgeted film like a Michael Bay movie, but I thought it was very well done. They stayed true to each of the characters. For me, whenever you give proper spotlight to Robert Downey Jr. doing Iron Man, I'm happy already. And he did that. But he was also able to shine a spotlight on the Hulk and on Black Widow, even making Hawkeye look cool, and especially on Cap and Thor. And, the fact that you make Loki semi-likable, I mean, Tom Hiddleston, he's a good-looking British dude, but women were swooning over him even though he was the bad guy. I was very, very happy that the Avengers that was shown after all this time, after we've been waiting for it since we were little boys, and it did not disappoint. It made lots of money, and it's making Stan Lee even richer. Happy 90th birthday, Stan Lee. So the Avengers is my number two. I just have to put it a notch below my number one movie. So,
yeah. Well, my number two is The Hobbit.
Wow, made it number two.
Made it number two, dude. I mean, it's
Okay.
like it was one of those movies that at the beginning, okay, great, The Hobbit's coming on, but it wasn't really.
Yeah, me too.
It wasn't such a big deal for me.
I know, me too.
It wasn't such a big deal.
Yeah, and it was because we had seen those three movies and we felt it was too big. Still.
Yeah, I mean, I love the first three, but it's just like, it's not something that's easily digestible.
Right.
It's not something you can do, kind of like it's when you watch Lord of the Rings, it's like you don't do it on a whim.
Yeah.
It's like you have to prep yourself.
Yeah, because Tolkien's intimidating.
Yeah.
Tolkien's really intimidating
Right.
even for nerds like us,
Right.
Yeah.
And
literate me.
Right. But then The Hobbit for me was a welcome surprise. In spite of all the chatter on the internet about how slow it was and all that, this just was a pleasant surprise. Like, wow, the pace, the characterization, the special effects, and just making me realize that, hey, it's so nice to be back here, in Middle
In the Shire.
In the Shire,
Yeah.
Although with all that smoking, I really think they should just call it The Habit.
Yeah.
And so it was great, and I do think that Martin Freeman's Bilbo Baggins is actually a more interesting protagonist than Frodo.
Mm-hmm.
He's more, he's basically the Hobbit without the gayness around it.
Without Samwise.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be, unless there's gonna be some kind of like ongoing innuendo between him and Thor
Thorin Oakenshield.
in the next movie, right? So I hope that doesn't happen.
Okay.
But this movie just it's even better for me. It's even better than the Two Towers, because Two Towers is basically a bunch of trees talking. But of course, there's some Gollum. There's some Gollum there, but those damn trees just bored the crap out of me.
John Rhys Davis as the Ents.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess Fellowship of the Ring is one of my favorite Lord of the Ring movies. So this is a great callback,
Right.
and it's just done with now that Peter Jackson is now Peter Jackson. The budget there is like spares no expense.
Yeah.
So he goes really all out here. So all those people talking about, oh, this is all just killing time until they meet Smaug. It's not. It's really entertaining stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, so for my number one movie, it is The Dark Knight Rises, because this was the movie I've been waiting for. Since The Dark Knight was first shown, and I was really, really blown away by this movie. To see it in IMAX, in all its glory, seeing the fall of Bruce Wayne, courtesy of Bane, and literally rising back, getting back to the top. It was a compelling story for me. And again, it's like The Dark Knight when I say that this was just a really good movie that happened to have a superhero in a bat cowl in it.
Yeah.
This was... I mean, I really loved The Dark Knight, but this is pretty close for me. It's pretty close to The Dark Knight because, okay, you take out the Joker, but you put in Bane, who's not supposed to be as compelling. I mean, in the comics, he's kind of overblown. And you know, Tom Hardy acting like this, basically through his eyes. So that was a bit of a challenge for him, but
Yeah, but he pulled it off.
yeah, he pulled it off. You know, at the point where I could understand. And Marion Cotillard, you don't know where she stands. And Anne Hathaway.
Don't forget Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway added so much more of an element to this that neither Katie Holmes nor Maggie Gyllenhaal could ever bring. I mean, Anne Hathaway, this was an adversary slash partner worthy of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, definitely. I just wish she had showed hers. I
More
wish there was
boobs.
more Catwoman.
More boobs.
Well, yeah, well, okay, that and more of her in the actual movie.
Yeah. You know, this had... Yeah, of course, this had special effects because it's a Batman movie with, you know, the football stadium falling down and the flying, the bat.
The bat.
Which was pretty cool. But again, it goes back to the story, and, you know, some would argue it might be a bit overblown and it's too big. But that ending... It was the proper ending to a trilogy that Christopher Nolan had been planning all this time. I was
The ending does give you chills. It does.
Yeah, the ending gives you such chills. Oh, great acting also from somebody who was suddenly just introduced into this movie, which is JGL. He was not in the previous two movies, but he fits so seamlessly. He carried his weight. And some would argue that he might have stolen the show a few times in this movie from Bruce Wayne, you know, from Christian Bale. Again, it kind of feels sometimes like these Batman movies almost put Christian Bale as secondary. It's becoming like the villains who are leads. But I felt that here he kind of took it back.
Yeah, he took it back.
He took it back, especially when he was rising, literally rising.
He did. I think there's
The
not
chalk drawings.
there's not enough credit that's given to Christian Bale.
Not enough credit is
for
given
what
to
he
Christian
does
Bale.
here, and he
Because
does an excellent job.
People often complain too much about the voice that he puts in.
Yeah, but it works. for
Screw
me.
you, man. I mean, after the shit that Joel Schumacher put us through, let's all be thankful to Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale for saving the Bat
That's it.
movies.
Exactly. That's what they did. They saved Batman, and they redeemed it.
For me, no matter what DC and Warner Brothers does from here on, if they reboot or they continue, I will be happy with these first three Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale movies. And The Dark Knight Rises is my favorite film of 2012. It will be the movie that I will remember about 2012. I may have an Avengers shirt. I have a couple of Avengers shirts. But I really like what The Dark Knight Rises brought to the table.